Hey guys, welcome back to Building Legacy, where we build people and businesses so that they can make their last name mean something. My name is Devin Muniz. I am the founder and CEO of Building Legacy, and I am here today with Cam, who is our creative director. We want to talk about what it means to actually be a leader, like what that actually means in real terms, how people should approach it when they are either going about it in business or just in life.
That's a great question.
Yeah. I think we just spent like 6 hours on it today, actually.
Yeah.
But quick backstory is Building Legacy is a team of 5 of us that are the leadership team for multiple different businesses. And we just continue to, or planning on continuing to build more businesses. Well, one of those businesses right now is Easy Electronics. Easy was going through a big phase of like, I made a massive bet on bringing in a lot of people, a lot more salaries, overhead, all that stuff, and trying to expedite our revenue, basically, and increase our growth like super rapidly. That bet didn't completely pay off, so it left us in a spot to where our revenue was here, but our overhead was here, and we were catching up to it, but we were at a loss every month, which a loss was okay, but we were at a pretty significant loss. And with the way that we use cash, a loss just compounds really fast. So we all had to sit down and say, how do we fix this? My number one goal going into that was, how the hell can we fix this and not lose any people? Which to me was like, that's the moment that it becomes very easy to just say, well, let's just drop the bottom people. Let's just cut the people that we don't think have the most value to the business, like right now today. But to me, that's like a horrible sign of a good leader, because I'm the one that hired them, first off. And second, if I'm still pulling a paycheck, then there's at least some room for some people to stay on. So you stepped up to the plate and were like, listen, what can I do to not take a paycheck? If it means keeping on a couple of people in my department, which was awesome. I want to know what your thought process was in thinking like, hey, I'll just go without a paycheck for a little bit if it helps.
My thinking was, so I guess I'll preface it all with, I don't know anything.
Right.
Number one.
None of us do.
I want to learn as much as I can.
Right.
I want to do the best that I can. And I remember when we got started in this, I asked you, I would like a job where I can, I'd have expectations that I could meet or exceed that would justify money or more money.
Right.
Like I was like, I want, because before we first started, that wasn't really the setup. It was slightly different. And so when I kind of really started putting more time into Easy, it was predicated on the fact that, you know, I wanted to build this. I wanted to help build it. I would be given more responsibility. And if it paid off, you know, even if it didn't result in gobs more amount of money, I would at least have like the personal satisfaction or I guess you could call it pride or whatever, of thinking I could do something good or better, or just maybe invent something new that works, and then it actually pays off. Right. You know what I mean? And then that would be huge. Just in myself, because I'm young and I think I have expectations of myself in the future and what I think I could do, and not only entrepreneurially, if that's even a term we can use here, but in business. Right. So I say all that to say, you gave me a little more responsibility, and I was currently in a position where my time was really locked up, and I had a lot of ideas and a lot of different ways on how I think I could benefit the business, bring in more revenue, and also grow in the right direction. So I had opted for hiring someone to take over my time, like where my time was locked up.
Right.
I wanted to hire for that that problem, I guess you could say, so I could free up my time to go either find the next position or learn things that could save us time or make us money.
Right.
Right. And then I had also, whether just over time or by nonstop, just like my unrelenting will, I guess you could call it, I had basically moved someone's position in the business.
Into the marketing department.
Yeah, into the marketing department. And like I kind of take responsibility for it because
they were already successful
if it was,
where they were at.
Yeah, they were doing well. I just thought, my idea is the best and I will get it done no matter what.
Right.
Right. Because I am ballsy on myself. Like I bet on myself. I am confident. Probably too much, or probably a little too much if you compare it to my intelligence or experience, right? But either way, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. This is going to work. This is a great idea. We got this. Anyway, time goes on. We see the numbers and everything. We're not, like, the marketing department isn't necessarily generating that type of revenue. And it came down to, the cuts. And basically I just said, it is my responsibility. Like they became my responsibility when I vouched for them, when I brought them on, when I added them to the overhead.
Right.
It would be, I don't even know if I could like be okay with myself. I don't want to say morally. I don't know. I just couldn't, I would not feel right about it if, even if for that one person, I moved her and then, what? That's it for her, and that's all predicated on the fact that I changed. Like that would be horrible.
Yeah, no.
So
that's, to me, that is a huge sign of a good leader, is the responsibility of the leadership. The book, The Motive, you guys are about to read, me and Dylan just read. The whole purpose of the book is defining that there are two types of leaders: reward-based leaders and responsibility-based leaders. And that reward-based leaders think that when they've done a good job, they've earned the right to kick their feet up, sit back, do less work, not have to do the stuff that they don't like. They've earned the right to just do the stuff that they do like, which is completely wrong, and that it's actually just another responsibility of being a leader, and that being a leader comes with responsibilities like, I made these choices, I hired these people, and at the end of the day, their well-being, all that stuff falls on me now. And then being willing to step up and say, hey, I'm not only going to put my words to it, but I'll put my money where my mouth is. Take my pay instead of cutting them. I guarantee you there is, I don't know the right number, but at least 80% of people that would never do that. Even if they're in a position, like, you do also have to realize that there's a spot where you can't put somebody else's livelihood above, like, your own or your family's, or your kids' mouths have to get fed before somebody else's kids' mouths or whatever. But even the people that could afford to do that, most still wouldn't. They would not. And that, to me, is one of the best signs of a good leader. Is I live and die by the mantra of, like, leaders should eat last. Like, this entire thing that we have done, I have every dollar just about that I have made, I have either reinvested into a person or a business. Like, I've either put it into another business, or like when I brought you and Cassidy on at first, I was paying your guys' salary out of just my money that I was making from X business, and just continued to do that until the business itself could take on one of your salaries, then two of your salaries. And then as soon as I freed up one, I just brought on another person. Yeah. And then I was paying for that. And, my wife gets on me about it. Nicole even gets on me about it. She's like, dude, you got to stop, like, caring about everybody else. And it's like, do I? Because at the point that I stop caring about everybody else, I probably shouldn't be the one leading the ship anymore.
Well, that's kind of the thing. It's, you kind of, I this is, again, my ignorant opinion. It does hold that much weight, I think. Like these type of decisions. And like, even, let's say they come into a job, like an interview or whatever, And we, as a business, we do want that person.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are trying to almost sell them on our business.
Right.
We have entered into a game where you need to uphold, like you are responsible for, I don't really know how else to say it other than you are responsible for them. It's
You are.
for their livelihood in a way.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel that way, that's not like I don't see how you could make the correct decisions.
You can't, because you will be leading for yourself. Like, you are doing for you. You're not doing for anybody else. And a good leader can never, ever be doing that.
I'll say this. So I grew up at Temple Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I played soccer there. Loved that time of my life, those 4 years playing soccer. I had also played club soccer and all that, and I actually went to school for just a short time and played soccer, or college, played soccer. But anyway, there was a real big emphasis on leadership, even on that team, that I still remember to this day. Probably because I really, I value that. The head coach there, BJ McFerrin, he's awesome. He treated me really well. But I don't even think I even understood what leadership meant back then.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's also a lot of fake leaders that pose as leaders all around. Not saying anyone specific. I'm just saying young men growing up are looking for examples.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think I was more ignorant than most. I'm just like, oh, he says he's a leader and he is leading things, but is that a leader? Like,
right.
Do his characteristics or whatever make him the man who should be leading?
Right.
And there's a lot of people, like, as I look back, that are like, no, I shouldn't be anywhere near young kids leading them at all. So I say that to say, it's like, so what is a leader? Like looking, like, I'm 24 now, looking back at high school days. So what is a leader? Like, how could I explain to my younger self what is a leader? And I think I have an answer for myself.
What is your answer? Because I can tell you, I have this is the one thing that I say to my son every single day before he gets out of my truck for school.
I would say, and this is from probably a month of thinking about this topic, which is just coincidental that we are landed on this topic. I didn't even know what we were talking about today.
Yeah.
I probably thought about this for a month straight. What is leadership? And I think the answer is doing what's right regardless of the outcome. And I know that's a backwards way of thinking about leadership. What turns it into leadership is people see that you're willing to do what's right regardless of the outcome, then they follow you. I think, and it's probably wrong, but I think that's how I've thought about leadership, because I noticed that, and I go, okay, well, looks like we're going to war together, because I know whatever decision this guy makes,
right,
I'm going to be good with. This guy is out to make the right decision every single time. He's human. Maybe he gets upset or whatever.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he is making the morally right decision that he believes, I think.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to, I guess, emulate that as best as I can. And I do a good job of it sometimes. I don't know. I just do what's right. And it's like living. It's almost like what Jordan Peterson says about lying, I think, where Jordan Peterson goes, like, you shouldn't lie, because then you're actually lying to yourself as you lie more and more and more and more. So you convince, or it's like you're telling over and over again, you're telling yourself a false narrative that you end up somewhat believing over time. I probably butchered it, but I think it's kind of true in that if you don't want to lie in the future, then don't do anything that would make you lie now. That's kind of how I think about it. And so it's kind of parallels for me. If you want to lead, You just got to do the right things now. You got to always just do the right thing, regardless of what it's going to turn out to be.
I can tell you. So when my son, actually, I don't think that you're far off whatsoever. You might be spot on, actually. When my son goes to get out of the truck every day, I say, "What are you going to do today?" He says, "Be a leader." And I say, and he says, "Glorify God." We've literally done this since he was in preschool. Those two things, I think, have to be paired up, because if you are a leader that is not set out to glorify God, you're really just leading for you, because who else is guiding your principles and what is right? How do you determine what is right? If those are your two North Stars, glorify God and be a leader, then it's going to be really hard for you to get misaligned.
Right.
But my son, if you ask my son, like, what do you think a leader is? He will tell you that it's somebody that does the right thing when nobody's watching, and regardless of what anybody else thinks. So I think that you are spot on, because that's how I instill it to him, because to me, that's the only thing that makes sense, because I'm not an actual leader if I let somebody change my mind about doing the right thing if I know it's the right thing.
Right.
I'm just a fraction. I'm not an actual leader. And I think that leaders and followers are extremely important for both. And I think that when you're saying there's all these fake leaders, I think the fake leaders are people that have to convince people to follow them. And people are easily convinced to follow people. That's obviously how cults and like all this stuff, how everybody and their brother's a guru at this point.
Yeah.
Good leaders just do what they do, and people just happen to follow them because they see that it's right. I don't think that there's a good leader that I can think of that has to convince people to follow them. They just come in and they do what they do. And we were kind of having this discussion the other day about, like, if you just do what you do and you do it well, it is undeniable that nobody can ever look at you and be like, "Yeah, I don't know if he's actually got it," or "I don't know if that dude's really a leader." Like, it's so undeniable that they can't help but follow you if they're not that same type of leader themselves.
Like, while you're speaking, I'm trying to see if I can boil my understanding down any more. I don't know if I can.
Well, can I tell you this too?
I like what you said about your son, though.
Well, in his one of the things that he's like leaning into, and I'm trying to make sure that he doesn't lean so far into it that he's a bully, is that he also thinks that being a leader is standing up for people that can't stand up for themselves. And he's like taken that to heart a ton. And he's told me a couple times about things that he's done, to where he almost is like the little enforcer of his little friend group now, to where you pick on this kid, you deal with Matthias, you don't deal with the kid because he just steps up and whatever. And I've had to explain to him, like, dude, you have to be careful because you need to let kids stand up for themselves. And if they can't stand up for themselves, then you step in. That's a leader. The other one is just a bully. And I don't think that a lot of people even get that point when it comes to leadership, of like the whole leading and following thing. If you don't give people a choice in following you, you're just a bully. You're just bullying people into following your ways of thinking and following everything that you do. But when you give them a choice and they're just like, "Hey, I can't do this for myself. Like, I'm right now just not capable of making these changes in my life, so I'm just going to follow you." Mm-hmm. That's a real leader. Not somebody that has to force it down somebody's throat and prove to them over and over.
And I think once you understand this concept, it bleeds into other aspects of your life, like even like marriage. I think I thought I'd perk Cassidy's ears up because she will probably agree with me on this, but like, it might be better for girls to marry guys that are significantly older than them, I don't know if that's 10 years or 5 years or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
that might be wiser, because the man, like, if you're under the belief that the man should be the leader of the household, let's say,
Right.
or at least that man was predisposed to that responsibility, like he was made for that responsibility. If you don't believe that, then this doesn't apply. Then you might think it might be better for you to marry someone younger than you if you're a man, because you will have that experience. You'll have, more of an understanding of the world than your wife, probably,
Right.
I guess. Because I was going to say, like, another type of relationship where this is found is a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've been a mentor to me.
Yeah.
And I just like an hour ago or whatever, I said, like, whatever, structure we're in business wise,
Right.
it matters, but it doesn't really matter to me because
Mhm.
you're my mentor in a way. I'm
Right.
always going to be like, here's my idea, and I think this is a great idea, and X, Y, blah, 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 and we should do that. And then you say, like, no, that's not a good idea. Then I'm going to go, okay, why was that not a good idea? I need to, like, look within, where am I off? Like, if you don't agree with
That
me, where am I
humility, yeah.
off?
Yeah.
Because I know you know more than me. I know you're wiser in other aspects in life than me. Stuff like that. So that kind of relationship pairs, I think, with an age gap in husband and wife type of thing, because of.
But Cassidy said the same thing. Cassidy said she would be willing to do that, but only if she's following a guy that is aimed at God. If he's following God and she doesn't question that at all, then she's willing to follow him. Same with you. Like, if you feel like I'm doing the right thing, then you're okay with me being your mentor, and you're okay with being like, oh, damn, that's wrong. That's okay. Let me think about that. Then, like, why is that? Why did I think that was a good idea and it's not? But if I'm not doing that stuff,
That aspect right there, I think it's harder, and this is speaking from experience, from being in some relationships. It's harder when that age difference is more equal, at least as you grow up, because you go through high school, then you might go to college, and then that like first career job or
yeah,
whatever.
because you feel like they're learning at the same time that you're learning.
Exactly.
So
Everything. And then that's also like, here's your insurance. Here's what taxes mean. And then all these different things are kind of building upon each other
right.
as you get older, and you're learning at the same time. But if you were 10 years young or 10 years older than your wife,
Mm-hmm.
you're the authority on all these things because you've done them for 10 years. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of all I mean about that. And also, you would have 10 years of more experience in spiritual endeavors or Christianity or whatever.
Do you have a desire to be a leader?
No, I don't. Not in. If you were to define leader, like, I always want to do the right thing,
Right.
but I have no desire to tell people, to command people. I have no desire to command people.
You're saying, like, you want to do all the things, and if people happen to follow you, good, bad, indifferent to it.
Are you saying in business or in
Not
life?
if in life.
Yeah, I don't care if people follow me or not. I'm doing my thing. Like,
Right.
that's.
Yeah. See, and that's where we did. Like, I have a deep need and desire not to force people to follow me, but to help people in general. Like, I leaned against leadership my whole life. Like, I was always the quarterback, the captain of whatever team we were on, and I hated it. I was just like, dude, I just want to be one of the players. Like, I don't want to be somebody that everybody's looking up to for a different type of standard and all this stuff. Like, I was good at sports, so it just fell into, like, leadership. And I like to work hard and I practice hard and all that stuff. To me, I didn't realize those were, like, leadership traits. My coaches were obviously noticing those things, but I was like, dude, I don't want to lead anybody. Like, I just want to do my thing and that's it. Now, me doing my thing, I could care less if it's not affecting other people. Like, I really could not care less, because the only reason that I'm doing anything that I'm doing and like coming at it like, dude, I don't know anything, but here, since you're unsure about how to fix your life, I was there. This is what I did, and it helped me a ton. So now let me give you this information so that hopefully it helps you, because then it's even more purposeful to me. And then now that's what we're doing with building legacy is, okay, we're going to go take all this information, show you the behind the scenes, put it to use. If it works, we'll give you that. If it doesn't work, we'll give you that, so that you can make the decision on your own, because that's what is important to me. Like, I want to lead, but I really only want to lead because I know the effect that it can have if it's done right.
I see.
And I'm just looking for the effect. If I could get that same effect just from like following and whatever, then I would do that. And I don't even know what it is that switched that for me exactly. I think it was hitting bottom and being able to climb out, and then seeing other people that were still in bottom that just can't. They can, but they have no idea how much they actually can. In their minds, they can't. And it's a lot of the stuff that we talk about like, especially me, I talk about like, it's like figured out, and it's not. It's just me speaking about things in absolutes, even if I don't know that it's an absolute, because it absolutely worked for me. Like, I refuse. My son is literally not allowed to say the word can't. I don't care what context it's in. He's like, he might as well tell me to fuck off. Like, when he says the word can't, I feel the same way. Like, I will be mid-bite and snap around like, what did you just say? He'd be like, oh, sorry. Just because I know the effect that words have on your life, and I'm absolute about it. I know that as soon as you tell yourself that you can't, you're right. As soon as you tell yourself you can, you're right. And I don't sway on it. And there's so many things that like I've just seen words by themselves do. Like, people ask me all the time, like, don't you get tired? Like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I literally have too much shit to get done to get tired. I'm not shooting for here or here or here. Like, I don't have a mark. My mark is literally when I die, I'm done. And hopefully by the time I die, I've done so much stuff that if somebody went to try to write the biography, they're just like, bro, this is a novel. Like, I want to live that type of life. So I can't, of course I get tired, but I can't get tired. I just can't. I cannot allow myself to get tired. But all I have to do is continue to tell myself that lie, whatever it is, and it becomes reality.
Right.
And I want to see those things affect other people. Like, when I know that it works, I have like a deep-seated desire to hand that off to somebody.
So this is probably, we're getting into something here. And this is probably where I am wrong once again. But I have not been convinced otherwise. And it is the whole don't cast your pearls to the swine Bible verse. Have you heard of this? Like, I know I've said it to you before.
Oh, yeah.
I am way more bullish on living the right life, living correctly, doing what's right, regardless of the outcome, being okay with the outcome. That might change it a little bit so that it's more understandable. Then, I don't know, it's hard to parallel because you can't really parallel them, but I was going to say, then constantly berating people with my opinions on what is right or not right. The fruit of my life should determine whether it is right or not right. And I feel like everyone eats of the fruit of my life. Like they will, in time, they will see, and they could even be a part of like that, of eating that fruit. And then once they eat it, they'll be like, oh my God, what are you doing? Why? Like, I think
Yeah,
I said this
exactly.
to you.
So, but okay, but that's the thing is when they ask, what are you doing? What is your response?
Then I would lead them.
Right.
That's, and I'm not arguing. I'm not,
Yeah. Yeah.
paralleling you and my understanding. I think I think people get caught up with like just spewing what they believe all the time.
I don't know where I heard this, but you will waste your entire life
I just saw that.
if you spend your life trying to change people that don't want to change.
Is that Hermosi?
I don't know. It
I
could be.
just
That's
saw
why
it
I
somewhere.
I just seen it somewhere too. That is like the most true statement because that is casting your pearls to swine.
Yeah.
I have no desire to do that.
Yeah.
I will always be somebody that will take the first step. Like, I won't say names, but like we have people that I have attempted to pour into and been like, here you go. Here's my effort. And I can relate to you. I can show you exactly what I'm doing. And then from there, I'm not going to force you to do it. I have no desire. If you won't work for you, why the hell would I work for you?
Right.
If you don't care about you, why would I give two shits about you?
And on top of that, I feel like it's not even like it's not the antidote for them. Like if they don't take it and run with it, then it is not what they need.
Dude, I could have had somebody in my face screaming at me every single day about, dude, just do this, just do that, until it flipped in me and the desire was real. It wouldn't have mattered.
And maybe that's because I'm in my like fleshly nature of just being a human.
Mm-hmm.
I am envious of others or something like that. So I see others and go, why don't I have that? Like I could do that. Why don't I have that?
Yeah.
And so in turn, because I know that about myself or because I think that about myself, I would like to live a life where someone does the same. Like someone looks at me and goes, man, if I could only just have like what they have, then because I've even done that to people who I admire in for Christian matters too. Like I've seen people and go, oh my gosh, I've never seen that before, or this type, or this like level of.
You're literally smart enough to look at somebody and say, the only difference between what they have and what I currently have is work, me putting in work and time. That's it. That's the only difference between what they have and what I currently have. You're smart enough to do that, and you're also dumb enough to do it.
You just have to learn. You're also dumb enough to do it. I like that.
Yeah, like that's what I've had to learn about myself is because there's a point where I feel arrogant almost to where I'm just like, dude, I could do that. Like I read a book of David Goggins and he's like, yeah, I ran 100 miles. And I'm like, dude, I could run 100 miles. Like, of course I could run 100 miles. There's no reason for me to think that, but I knew that for me to get there, it's just going to require work. So if I just do work for an extended period of time, I'll get there. But at the time, I had to be dumb enough to actually believe it to start. So like I don't know that it's arrogance. It's just I'm dumb. I have ignorance is bliss. And I'm blissful enough to think, yeah, all I got to do is run some stuff and then I'll just do it.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, I had a good parallel, but then that was, I can't believe you ran 69 miles, even though you trained for 8 months.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, is you'll probably go a lot farther than what you
I've never
think.
stopped somewhere and then went shorter the next time. Like wherever my limit, every PR that I've ever had, the very next time that I run a race, I've beaten that PR. And that's like, I was just telling, I don't know if you were there, but I was just talking about like getting that mile 69 tattooed on me somewhere, because that is the part that so many people freaking miss is this isn't about going 69 miles. Like most people will never run 69 miles straight in their freaking lives. I could hang my hat up on that and be like, dude, what, 1% of 1% of people do that ever in their whole life? But that's not the goal. The 100 miles isn't even really the goal. The goal is to create a person that's capable of doing that type of stuff and knows what it's like to go from never running a marathon ever in your life to within 2 years now, time frame, let's run 100 miles.
The type of person
you have to create a different type of person. Yeah. And it's the piece that most people miss is like when, as soon as you put that freaking finish line up, what then? What comes after that? And leaders don't do that. Leaders never have a finish line. The best CEO in the world is the person that is, every time the team is about to grab the carrot, they make the stick a little bit longer. But when you go real close to getting the carrot, you're allowed to praise yourself. You're allowed to praise your team. You're allowed to do that, but continue to make the stick longer. Don't hang your hat on 69 miles. Don't hang your sales team up on, oh, you guys had the best month that you guys have ever had. Because that's not the point. The point is to continue to get better, to continue to grow your relationship with God, to continue to be a better dad, all get a better skill set. That's the point. It's not about the mile markers along the way or the little achievements along the way.
Yeah.
Everybody's just trying to get to that next medal, the next achievement.
How do we tie this back to leadership? Because that was a great rabbit trail.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like those are the qualities to me that make up a good leader, is somebody that is never satisfied, that is not afraid to give praise when praise is due to themselves and to others, that does what is right no matter the outcome, and that is willing to put others in front of themselves. If you are able to develop those qualities, it's almost impossible for you to not be a good leader, even if you don't want people following you. Because if you live in that way, people will naturally follow you regardless.
Yeah, I got to do some more thinking about the fruit of your life, because I feel like I hit on something that I didn't know I believed as much as I did.
And glorify God above all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're saying that when people get a taste of the fruit of your life, it changes them.
Yes, it would change them in a way that they would desire to be more like me, I guess.
Yeah, that's what.
Which I guess that's not why I want to do this, is not to make more people like me, but it's to experience the good things I experience. So I guess it's like you in that way, where it's.
I want everybody to have the feeling that I had on that first marathon. And it's the same feeling that David Goggins said that he had at mile 70. I want everybody to get that feeling, because the feeling of knowing that you are literally limiting your entire life inside of your head is unbelievable. You can think that, people can think that, but until you actually put yourself in a position where you realize it, it's wild. Life becomes different. You're playing a totally different game at that point. And then you understand what it's like to be a leader. You get to live the life that leaders live, because it's all just in your head. Most things are literally fake, which is a wild thing to think about.
Everything could be fake.
But it is. Yeah, I can't go down that rabbit trail, because I just found a video on YouTube about like data having weight to it.
Oh, yeah, no. That's probably a good place to stop then.
Yeah. I guess we can go real far down this rabbit trail. Okay. Well, for now, we'll put a pin in this, but the important thing I think is that leadership does look and feel different to a lot of people. But at the end of the day, like, just being a leader in your own life, even if you have no desire to lead other people, is worth exploring. And it's never going to land you in a worse spot than you're currently in if you try to live a life in that way. So until next time, get out there and make your last name mean something.